Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was.
Look again.
Hello and welcome to another day in paradise. Today I pose the question, can you be woke and remain B1? Now, I know a lot of people who think that the two work interchangeably, but they actually don't, and I'm going to explain. But first, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, and click the bell notification. Now, before I started this YouTube channel, I had an Instagram. I still have it, but I don't use it as much anymore, and there is a reason for that. The reason I don't have an Instagram account or use this Instagram account is because, to be frank, it was attracting the wrong kind of people. You see, I would say that I started this Instagram account some 10 years ago, and around that time we had all these just the start of the outcrying from police violence, and also the affair with Julian Assange and all that. So I started digging and looking at all these conspiracies, and I fancied myself as being enlightened. I fancied myself as being woke. So I started the Instagram account, and I soon gathered a pretty decent following. I got to the point in which I started culling people off there because I made it private. I didn't want everybody to see who I was and know who I was, and so I had a little following of 1,000 followers, and I liked it that way. Now, most of those people that were following me were mainly female white women from America. That was mainly the main crowd that was following me. I had people from all over the world following me, but the main crowd was female and white. Now, these people, men, women from many different races, backgrounds, nationalities, ethnicities, they all thought along the same pattern. We all knew that we were being enlightened to how the world really works. But as I continued to follow these people, started seeing into their psyche and how they sort of thought, I started to get a little concerned, and I started to ask myself whether I was in the right sort of place. Now, I thought, okay then, well, it is what it is. Okay, let's just, we're different people. We don't all think along the same lines, you know. There was one common rebuttal towards racism, which continued to rear its ugly head time and time again. They would say, okay, racism is a construct. It's something which has been man-made, and that is right. I still believe that. It's still man-made. We know it's man-made, right? I mean, it hasn't always existed, has it? But then they'd go on to make the excuse, oh yeah, it's man-made. It's nothing to do with us. We're not racist. We've got nothing to do with racism towards black people, and you know, it's all the government's fault. Everything is the government's fault. We haven't done anything. You know, we are innocent. And that was always the way they thought. Now, roll on 2020, earlier this year, we had COVID and everything else happen. And this year, of course, is an election year in the United States. And I could start to see These same people that I knew for years, they didn't do it last time, but this time, heavy Trump supporters. Oh yeah, Trump is going to drain the swamp, all that sort of rubbish, okay? And he's not racist, he's just, he's pro-American, 100%, and, man, I just figured I can't take these types of people. So before I even stopped using my account, I just started banning many of those people that have been following me for years off my account. It was sad. Some of them turned hardcore pro-Trump hardcore, and the reason they were doing this was to garner more views on their accounts as well. I can see them. It was pathetic, actually. There was one follower who was doing this, and I'd known her for years, and really strange girl. I think she was either Dominican or Puerto Rican. I saw pictures of her actually when she was sort of in her early 20s. Beautiful young woman. And if you see her now, boy, you would definitely think different. I don't know what it is. It's like being a right-wing militant turns you into I don't know. I don't want to get this video banned. So anyway, beginning of this year, I started to make that change because obviously I didn't really live by the rules of being B1. I hadn't lived that way. I'd always been, I'm going to do me. I'm not going to do what people want me to do. I guess you could say that the ancestors, well, they started communicating with me, and I realized that my people are the most important things to me. So I needed to change my mindset and focus on them. So anyway, listen, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Can you remain B1 and be woke? Well, I think it depends on what type of woke you're talking about. If you're talking about having knowledge of the way the world works and living vicariously through that knowledge whilst knowing, and I think you need to dissect exactly what B1 means. B1 also means living vicariously through your people, and through us, the African diaspora, so, and continentals, and you cannot follow the Eurocentric view on what being woke is. You cannot follow that and be woke at the same time, and be B1. That's impossible. And I realize this now because there are so many people who believe that they are woke but still have this typical regulated mind, regulated by society. They'll say that they are woke, but they won't change their lives. They'll still pay their taxes, they'll still live their regular lives, walking around making videos like this, except moaning about how the government charges us too much tax on our salaries. So, if you want to look at woke B1 people, you're looking at Black Unicorn, you're looking at ES as well, to a certain degree, but I think ES is less B1. I don't think she's that B1, ES is an out and out liberal. Okay, so when you're B1 and woke, there is no concept of being liberal or conservative. You have to use a combination of both. Obviously, if you're B1, you are only going to be living your life as a person who puts black people first, the black family first, your partners is going to be black no matter what. And this is where I have trouble, of course, with the B1 mindset. I can't do that, even though I still feel like I'm being B1. I still live my life in a way in which I put my children first. I'm going to live in Africa. I'm going to be doing all these things. But truth be told, I mean, once again, being B1 is an American sort of, an African American concept, and I try not to follow the American concepts, and that's no offense to my American friends, but really, when it comes to race relations and everything else, everybody in the United States, they're just bad at it. They are not, I don't know what it is. They just, if they haven't traveled, if they haven't lived in other countries, then they're unable to see the world as being anything other than black and white. They don't see the grey. It's black and white. This is why a lot of them are having problems when they go to Africa and they realize, oh, wait a minute, like there's more than one race. I thought there was just one black race, and they're realizing, whoa, no, there isn't. There are people who have the same skin color as you who deny you, right? They deny you, but this is normal. It's completely normal. What I am doing personally is I am living my life as close to B1 as possible whilst being in my situation, and also using what I know, my knowledge, and living through that knowledge, okay? Using that knowledge and applying it into my life. It's a case-by-case basis, and I really think that many of you should do the same thing too. Just try to not align yourself absolutely with any particular ideology. It's going to be difficult for you to do so, especially if you're a diasporan, right? I mean, I know many of you use Indian corner shops. There isn't many African American owned stores in the United States. They exist, of course, there are plenty of them, but I know that many of you, if you're living in a city like New York, you're going to be doing business, you're going to be having relationships of one kind or another with people of different races, creeds, and ethnicities. So basically, I'm going to stop rambling on now. So yeah, you can be B1, but be your own B1, and also be your own kind of woke. And yeah, still learn. You're always going to learn throughout your life. So being your form of woke is always going to change. So you have to be mercurial as well. You have to be flexible, adaptable. You need to improvise. That's the way it is. So yeah, don't hang on these words. Don't hang on them, and just try to be a good bloody person, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, that's all from me from today. I'd like to thank you all for listening, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra a bit.